Hey everybody, today's March 22nd, 2020. I'm going to need to rely on the chat to let me know whether or not they can hear me on this live stream before I continue. It's a little bit after noon here on March 22nd, and I'm trying to do a live stream, but YouTube is giving me a lot of problems right now, so if someone in the chat could please let me know if you could hear me. Can you see the video on the screen as well? All right, so you guys are telling me it's working. So I can't see it on my studio, but I'm going to trust you guys that it's working. So let's get into this. Wanted to do a quick video on some news by the numbers today. Of course, there's the coronavirus pandemic that's sweeping over the nation. Everyone's losing their minds. Martial law seems to be a thing now in several states. And you know something's up when the governors specifically state they're not doing martial law, but then the military moves in. Freaky, scary times right now. It seems like they're doing a lot to try and shut as many of us up, but just wanted to draw a little bit of attention to this story. It does have a little bit to do with coronavirus, but not a whole lot. Ultimately, there's a numeric riddle that sits between the lines of this news story about Trump writing a letter to Kim Jong-un. So what I want to talk about is not just this story, but we're also going to show how this news story relates to the two previous meetings that Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un had. The first one was in June of 2018 at the North Korea United States Singapore summit held on June 12th of that year. The second meeting was several months later in February of 2019. At the North Korea United States Hanoi Summit in Vietnam, which took place on February 27th and 28th of last year. Now, there's no new summit planned for these two men, but the fact that this news story popped up today is indeed a numeric tribute to the two prior meetings. So let's get into this and explain. First of all, the bizarre detail from the headline is that it was a letter, right? It's not like he called him or sent him a fax or an email or anything, but instead sent him a letter. Using the reverse alphabetic order, where Z is assigned 1, Y is 2, X is 3, all the way through A is 26, the word letter sums to 82. Today's date, March 22nd, this being a leap year, is the 82nd day of the year. Today has what we call primary numerology of 65, adding 3 plus 22 plus 20 plus 20. The very first in-person meeting between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un was on June 12th of 2018. And when we measure from that date to the date of this news story, we get exactly 650 days. Date was 65 numerology. Using the S exception, coronavirus sums to 65. And in the alphabetic order, notice how the word pandemic also sums to 65. In English Sumerian Gematria, the word pandemic sums to 390. This is simply the alphabetic order times 6. A number which represents 39. We're going to talk about how this is a masonry riddle. Masonry sums to 39. Well, if you instead measure from their second meeting to the date of this news article, you get a span of exactly 390 days. This same measurement from the Hanoi Summit to the date of this news story is 1 year and 25 days. Using the standard alphabetic order, A through Z, 1 through 26, North Korea sums to 125. Worth pointing out, this is also 12 months and 25 days. And this brings us to the Freemasonry riddle. Freemasonry with a trigonal gematria value of 1225. In the blog post that's linked in the description down below, there's a few links to previous news stories about Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un, and North Korea. And all of these have examples of how all of these stories are by the numbers of Masonry. In Gematria, North and South Korea gives us this value of 227, an extremely significant number. 22 divided by 7 on a calculator gives us the first 3 digits of pi, 3.14. And when you write this equation out in Gematria, you also get 314 in the alphabetic order. And then the nation of Korea equals 50, just like circle. And of course, both flags with a circle on the flag. Measuring once again from this North Korea-United States summit in Singapore, which was the first time these two men met in person, you get a span of 1 year, 9 months, 11 days. Of course, this has the 9/11 code in it, but this is a clear tribute to Freemasonry. Ancient and accepted Scottish rite of Freemasonry, in our trusty Jewish Gematria cipher, sums to 1,911. Looks like Satanic Gematria also in play with this story. Notice how we have a 1910 value for the headline. Of course, if you exclude the end date, 1 year, 9 months, 10 days since that meeting. Now, Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un are two men that are connected by the numbers right off the bat. Notice how in reduction, Donald Trump sums to 48. In reverse reduction, Kim Jong-un also sums to 48. Now, the 48th prime number is 223. And just think about today's date, the 22nd of March, the date written internationally as 22/3. In Jewish Gematria, the word Masonic sums to 223. And consider how today is 2 months, 23 days before Donald Trump's June 14th birthday. Kim Jong-un, according to American records, born on January 8th of 1984. Notice how he's 13,223 days old. The 13 here is also a significant number. Consider how Masons sums to 1313 using square numbers, both forwards and reverse. Also got to appreciate the 301 in Jewish Gematria. Well, when you write out 13, this is the only number in the alphabetic order that sums to 99. Kim Jong-un taking office in December of 2011, meaning he's been in office for a little over 99 months. And then Donald Trump, born on June 14th, he's a span of 9 months and 9 days after his birthday. Of course, Trump, the 45th president. Notice how 13 equals 45 in both reduction methods. Today also has what we call standard numerology of 45 by adding 3 plus 22 plus 20. Something else that stuck out to me about Donald Trump's age just recently. Trump was born in the year 46. Donald Trump's presidency is largely coded around this outbreak. Remember, what we're currently going through is the new 9/11. This is the big one, the big event that we've been waiting for essentially for 19 years, since the first 9/11, of course, in 2001. Coronavirus pandemic equals 220 in the alphabetic order. Here we are, of course, in the year 2020. And it was on the date 11/3 on which the World Health Organization declared coronavirus to be a global pandemic. Donald John Trump sums to 220 in the reverse alphabetic order. And what's really interesting is how this date, March 11th, when the World Health Organization declared a pandemic, this was exactly 18 and a half years after the 9/11 attacks. It says 18 years, 6 months, but this is 18.5 years. In the alphabetic order, Donald John Trump equals 185. And in reverse, 220. So this man totally coded by the numbers of this outbreak. This even extends to the head of FEMA, Peter Thomas Gaynor. His name sums to 220 as well. In Jewish Gematria, coronavirus equals 1303. And here in America, it was the 13th of March, or the date 1303, on which it was declared a national emergency. That date also had primary numerology of 56. In reduction, coronavirus equals 56. But check out how old Donald Trump was on the date that he declared the coronavirus pandemic to be a national emergency. When he stood in front of the microphone, he was a span of exactly 885 months old. In Satanic Gematria, coronavirus pandemic equals 885. As far as the 293 in reverse, that date also left 293 days on the calendar. So, for about the 47th time here, just displaying how this entire response to this coronavirus pandemic outbreak is 100% a dark occult ritual, with the full intent of getting the government to take over as many parts of our lives as they can. All right, so that's going to do it for the information in this video. Again, it looks like the stream was working, for most people anyway. Just glancing in at the chat here, Zenith of the Alpha. Again, if you're not subscribed to his channel, everybody please scatter there. He brings up the national pandemic of 1918 with the Spanish flu. And absolutely, that's a huge, huge part of this. And it's part of my belief as to why this disease is named coronavirus in the first place. So just a reminder, the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Well, 1918 was also the same year as the last total solar eclipse to go coast to coast in the United States before this past Great American Eclipse in 2017. So here's the eclipse path on the right side of your screen. Greatest eclipse somewhere south of Alaska, but this eclipse held the distinction of being the last total solar eclipse whose path of totality went from coast to coast in the United States, starting in Washington, ending in Florida. So for 99 years, no other total solar eclipse had these same characteristics. And then in 2017, we had the next Great American Total Solar Eclipse with the greatest eclipse this time over Kentucky, near Hopkinsville. And isn't it interesting that the last time we had a major outbreak was in 1918, the same year as that total solar eclipse? Well, of course, this pandemic, not the same year as the 2017 eclipse, but there's a very good reason for that. It's because in 2024, there will be a second Great American Total Solar Eclipse. And this time, it starts in Mexico and goes up through the Northeast. So it's not another coast-to-coast one, but as you can see through these paths, it essentially creates an X over the United States. One going from the northwest to the southeast, the other from the southwest to the northeast, with the X converging over southern Illinois. So nearly the halfway point between these two eclipses, the halfway point is actually December 14th of this year, at which point there will actually be another total solar eclipse in South America. I think they're calling it the Patagonia eclipse. And then, of course, just think of the name of this. The corona is the outermost part of the sun's atmosphere and is usually hidden during the day, but during a total solar eclipse, you can see the corona of the sun. So the fact that this disease is called coronavirus is a clear nod to this eclipse code that I've been talking about for basically 3 years here on this channel. And just to double up on the symbolism, not only is it called coronavirus because of these eclipses, but think of how the government's main directive right now is for everyone to stay inside, you know? Don't build any more social connections. Don't get closer to anybody because they understand that our friends, our neighbors, our family are truly the ones we need in this time when the government is basically stepping forward and trying to take control of the economy. And here we are. Everybody's talking about, being self-quarantine, self-isolation, afraid to go out under the corona, afraid to look at the sun. It's like the sun disease, No one wants to go out and stand under the sun. Everyone's got to stay inside. I think the symbolism is pretty clear here. So it's a sad world. I mean, so few people out in the general public are awake to what's going on. It's just awful. And hopefully you guys are doing what you can and helping turn some's heads, at least, in the right direction towards the truth about what's really going on. All right, guys. That'll do it for this video. Thanks to everybody for checking me out. Please do feel free to like, share, and subscribe. All of this work is free to share. Everyone's encouraged to do so, as we're probably running out of time here to wake people up. So let's get as many as we can on our side, everyone. All right, guys. Peace, love, God bless. Talk to you on the flip side. See ya.